Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. This video is kind of a new thing for me. I've never done like the sit down and talk style video, but I thought I would give it a shot. I'm trying to do more things with social media and kind of exploring. So yeah, I thought I would give this a shot. So this video, I'm going to kind of be talking about what I bring to a show, and kind of the different, like, the different styles of collecting that I've not really purposefully explored, but been forced to go through as a young and kind of first time dealer. I've been collecting for years, but selling for maybe 5 years, but only really getting into the shows about 3 years ago when I was 17, 18, starting college and just doing some of the local shows. And when I was first starting that, I didn't have a lot of money, so I was buying what I could and then selling it instantly, and not really having an inventory, which kind of was a struggle because I would have people that would want to keep buying from me and they would go, "Do you have any more of this? Do you have any more of this style of coin?" And I wouldn't. So it was hard to have repeat customers. And very recently, I've noticed that. I always knew it was a problem, but there wasn't much I could do. But recently, I decided to kind of really dive into coin dealing and try and build up an inventory, especially for when I'm going to shows. So I'm testing that with this upcoming show in Annandale, Virginia, and that is this month, July 26th and 27th. And then I have another show pretty close after in September in Fredericksburg. And so I'll see if my inventory can handle two shows so close to one another. It'll definitely be learning experience, but I've done both of those shows multiple times now. I enjoy them. They're good shows. And yeah, so just kind of figuring things out. So I thought I would show you what I bring to the show, what I'm collecting, what I'm buying right now, what I'm selling right now, and again, talking more about kind of the stages I've gone through in terms of becoming a dealer. As I guess I can call myself that now. It was kind of like, should I be calling myself a dealer if I just buy things and instantly resell them? Or, if I don't have an inventory, or, if I'm not going across the country to the big shows. But I think I can comfortably take that title now. Going to shows, dealing at shows for a couple years, and people are starting to know me and know who I am. And I have I have an Instagram account I started a couple years ago that has around 400 followers, and that's been going well. So people are starting to know me. So I'm getting more used to that idea. But when I first started buying and collecting, it was really only American things that I was collecting. And I still love American stuff, especially like a lot of the type coins. I love the large cents, 3 cents, 2 cents, things like that. Um, but I kind of have been leaning towards foreign stuff recently, and I've really been enjoying that. And I just came back from a trip in England where I spent a couple months there, and I picked up some medieval stuff and really enjoyed that and really enjoy the history of that. So I have both, and that's one of my tactics coming to shows. Is I've realized that when you go to these shows, more often than not, a lot of the people are only buying American, and that's why when you go to the shows, even like the bigger ones, and like Baltimore, for example, people have huge displays of Morgan dollars or Peace dollars or U.S. type coins, and though they're really cool, um, you know, I like to be diverse because though a lot of people are buying American, there's also a lot of people that are interested in foreign, and I like to have something for everyone. So yeah, so let's get into it. So in terms of American, I don't have much, but I do have um, some raw stuff. I don't have a lot of graded right now in terms of American coinage, but I do have a little bit some lower end stuff. That's also another tactic, and it's half for the shows and half for me. I can't really afford to have high value items. I just don't have the money for it. So I kind of limit myself to a number when I'm selling. Most of my table is going to be under $300 or so, and I like that because again, it helps me as a dealer, as a beginning dealer, but it also I think makes things you know, accepting to people, like accessible is the word I'm looking for. It makes things accessible. You know, like I said, I have a lot of foreign, I have a lot of American, and when you have that price point that is pretty cheap, people might be more willing to explore things. So if you have really cool items, but it's not typically what someone would buy, but it's at the right price point and it's worth a shot, well, maybe you can get someone into it. And having a backstory or history to certain items is really good as well. So if we look through, let's see, if we look through this box I have here, you know, I have a lot of really cheap half dimes, 1850, that's a full dime, that's 1825, 1872, you know, just some cheap, you know, half dimes for some albums, or maybe, you know, a kid can come in and buy some of them with his dad or something like that. So, you know, I like to have some cheap stuff, you know, some 2 cents that are pretty nice. But yeah, I like being diverse, some Flying Eagles, some early Indians. I have some cheaper 1870s Indians coming in, trying to get some diversity in years and some things that people might still be needing for albums. So though it's cheaper, it still could be album fillers or something that people are maybe having a little bit of a difficulty trying to get. So here's, you know, some large cents. I also have a pretty heavy inventory in German right now, which kind of landed on me on accident. A couple years ago, I just bought, you know, a really large grouping of foreign coins, which kind of led me down this path. Again, the trip to England also had a part in that, but that collection definitely helped me get there. But for example, like I was talking about, things that you know, that someone might not usually buy, but if they're at the right price point, they might consider it. Here, like here's an interesting one. This is 1944, you know, U.S. Philippines. You know, that's pretty interesting. It's technically American, but made for a foreign country, which is a really interesting point. A Henry VIII groat. You know, it's a really neat coin. Henry VIII especially is a really fascinating history, and someone might just take a chance on it. Contemporary counterfeit too is also really interesting. So this is an Edward III contemporary counterfeit. Of course, these don't show up great on camera, but they're really cool. I really got behind a lot of the medieval stuff. There's some nicer ones in here, and some not so nice ones. But like, here's a cut penny that I couldn't quite identify, but just a half one. That's a really interesting history, and you can, you know, put on a timeline, like why are people clipping coins, or why are people cutting them in half, and you know, what kind of things you see on coins that relate to that history, like when Edward the First is, you know, putting the long penny on the back of the coin to discourage trimming of coins. You know, you can talk about that, you can sell a story to them, which is really important as well. Also some unique finds, you know, some unique things. This is a Maria Theresa pocket watch. It's really interesting. I bought this in Vienna. It's really pretty. It's, the Maria Theresa are really popular sailors. You know, they're not expensive. They're $25-$30 for the restrikes, and you know, it's a really cool pocket watch. It actually has a nice running system. It has like 7 gems inside of it. It's just really interesting. Another contemporary counterfeit here. We have a 1799 8 real contemporary counterfeit, which is kind of an interesting point, is that these sell better as contemporary, not sell better, but they are worth more than the actual authentic 8 real, which is pretty interesting. But you know, a Mexican 8 real, I really love the 8 reals. They're some of my favorite. But in terms of more American, some Silver Eagles, some key dates, there's a 1986 in there. And then, like I said, some cheaper, like a 1935 Buffalo nickel. You know, it's not a special grade, it's not a special coin, but it's pretty and it's graded, so it's really nice for someone's collection. The Type 2 Buffalo nickel, 1913. You know, just really nice coins. Let's see, large cent. Again, not a high grade. It's extra fine details, cleaned. Um, but it's really cool to see graded coins. I mean, even if they're cheap. But I also have some foreign. This is 1562 Elizabeth the First, which is actually a clipped coin. But these are really pretty, and they have some really cool dates that you can see on the back. I also try and do some thalers. This is actually a jeton, but you know, this has a wolf in a Jesuit cap killing a sheep, I think. Yeah, it has a sheep in its mouth. You know, there's a lot of symbolic history there, but that's one of the more higher end pieces. But you know, we have a lot of lower end pieces, like, you know, just a silver dime, and then some planchet flaw things in there. Nothing crazy, but in terms of cheap slabs, you know, I like to do bulk because a lot of people like looking through things. So I have a foreign box here that a lot of people look through. They'll sit down at the table, which is good. You know, it makes the table look popular, and they can look through that. And they usually only pick out one or two things that, you know, maybe total $5. But you make a small deal. You have people looking at your table. Your table looks good, so it's actually pretty helpful. And I have 20 or 30 $10 slabs. You know, they're just modern proof sets that somebody sent in for bulk grading that was trying to get a certain grade or what have you. And you know, that's always good. People again can collect that or give it to their kids, or they're good for giveaways for the auctions that some of the shows do. So those are really popular as well. I like to have a diversity of bulk. So here's a big bag of foreign paper. You know, nothing special about them, but $1 each, 50 cents each, and they go pretty fast. So, you know, you don't put a lot in here. There's not a lot of investment on my half, and there's not a lot of profit either. But like I said, it makes you busy. It makes the table look good, and makes it look like you have more inventory. So I do a lot of, you know, stuff like that. For the American stuff, I have a lot of you know, commemorative sets right now that are pretty cheap based off of silver value alone. And if someone's doing you know, a book for modern commemoratives, and they can break those out. I also have, you know, just normal mint and proof sets in case somebody's looking for something for their birth year, for their children. That's pretty nice. Bulk foreign coinage as well, just, you know, 4 for $1, whatever. Just more things for people to look through. They really like that. This whole box is German, like I was saying. I got not stuck, but I ended up with a pretty large German box. But I also, these boxes are good. They don't take up a lot of space, and if someone's looking for some pennies to fill an album, which I've been slowly working on recently, but you know, this starts in 1898 and goes to 1969. That's just about every year in there, and you know, I can just put it on the table. I just put it inside the top, and people can read that there's pennies, and it works out perfectly fine. Like I said, it doesn't take a lot of space. People can go through them. They can pull out what they need for their album. These are nickels. It's the same idea. I actually just took out a whole bunch for my own album, for my Buffalo Nickel album. But same idea. People can just go through them. They can go through the bulk coinage, the bulk paper currency, whatever, you know, whatever. So it's helpful for them. I try and bring a little bit of gold. These prices are old, if you couldn't tell, but you know, bring a little bit of gold, bring a little bit of silver. I have, you know, a couple. This is 2025, Year of the Snake, just some more attractive silver. This is 2015, Year of the Sheep. So a little bit of bullion. I don't like dealing in bullion, especially gold, because I find that the profit margins can be pretty slim, and I like to give people a fair amount of money on their coins. So that's one of my big things. Is I know a lot of shops will offer really low on coins, and sometimes, you know, they have to. They have the brick and mortar store, and they have a lot of bills to pay, which I don't have the brick and mortar store, so I don't have to pay those bills. But there does come a percentage that's questionable on the morals. But I like to offer people what they, as much as I can, and it just doesn't make sense to buy a gold 10th ounce for $600-700 and sell for $20 more, if even that. So I usually decline on gold. I'll do pre-33, and I'll do foreign gold, and I'll buy some silver bullion, especially right now with the market moving so much. But I don't usually buy, gold that's just melt value. Bringing a lot of foreign to this show, so a lot of graded. This is a Spanish. Let's see, this is Ferdinand and Isabel, so some Spanish coins. I got 4 of those. Some, let's see if I can find a nicer one, but some Livonia. It's not showing up great. That's the problem as well. You have to really have really good lights because the coins, these old coins don't show up great on camera or even in person. So it kind of makes it a bit of a challenge actually to sell these online, which is another thing that I do pretty often. I sell on Facebook, and a lot of the, in a lot of the groups, which I do pretty well on. But yeah, it can be difficult to take good photos of these older coins, so that's why I like bringing them to the show. I have a lot of Roman right now. Going through references, I'm slowly learning more and more about foreign coins. This is kind of my first deep dive into Roman stuff, so I found a really nice reference website and was able to lock down the year of this coin to a couple of years span. So this ruler Arcadius was ruling from 383 to 408, but from a reference website, this is now, I can now lock it down to 395 to 401. So that's also helpful. Not all these are the same. That's 388 to 392. So a 4-year gap in the time span of almost 3 decades. So a lot of Arcadius in here. There might be a couple oddballs, but so a lot of Roman, a lot of ancient stuff, a lot of medieval. I have some French graded coins, some English graded coins coming in, maybe some Italian as well. But yeah, I like to keep things pretty diverse. I have, some paper currency as well, some Confederate currency. Like I said, I like to keep it diverse. Confederate currency is pretty cheap. It doesn't move the fastest, but it's cheap. It's really cool. It's really pretty, and I like it. It's just, yeah, it's a really fascinating part of history. So it makes for a good item to have displayed on your table. One of my personal favorites is colonial currency, though. I have a couple pieces over there. I have 2 Maryland notes, pre-1776. So I love colonial stuff. That stuff's graded. I have some silver certificates. So I am really diverse for these next coming shows. I'm going to keep trying to get more stuff between each show. As you can see, none of this stuff is terribly high-end items. Nothing's really awfully expensive, but there is a decent amount of it, and I have enough now to really fully fill out a table, maybe even more than fill out. So I might have things on the back table, and people can see me working on coins, and they'll see someone who's actively working on things. They have the sense that this person's real, this person's authentic. They're not going to scam me. They're not going to give me a bad price if I try and sell my coins to them. And that's kind of the key, because coin shows, though you can sell a lot and they're very successful, there's a lot of buyer-to-buyer trading and dealing. And that's where a lot of your money comes in, but also buying from the public. Buying from the public is hands down, the best way to make money, because a dealer will know what you have and you might be able to, or what they have, and they might be able to, you buy from them and you make $5-10 unless it's, a really good buy. But buying from the public, you have the chance to buy things a little lower without being, morally incorrect. So there is a fine line there, that I am very conscious of, and that's something that's really important to me. But yeah, so those are the things that I'm bringing to the show. The channel's new. You probably seen the Remington video, the Remington rolling block. I'll probably do a takedown video of that, taking the gun apart. But this channel is kind of going to be divided between the guns and the coins, and yeah, I think there's going to be a balance of things as we keep going. There's going to be restoration videos. That Remington wasn't that bad, but some of the ones I get in are pretty rough. But there'll be some restoration videos, there'll be some takedown videos, and then there'll be coin videos, which will either be me talking about shows, showing off shows, doing some unboxing, maybe some things that are coming in the mail. Might have one of those coming in because I have 3 or 4 packages coming in soon. So yeah, this channel is going to be open. It's kind of gonna just flow. There's not really going to be a posting itinerary. I'm not going to be like, oh, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something like that. It's just going to be as things come in. So yeah, and hopefully I can get some better equipment, some audio equipment, some cameras, and maybe get a little more comfortable and a little more fluent with how I'm talking, and more importantly, or most importantly, work on a outro, because I don't really have anything right now. So I'm just gonna leave it at, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.